We're back, people. What is up? Nice little stream going on today. Going over that Miami Dolphins Bills game was quite, I think, shocking to most people. But yeah, they actually kind of embarrassed the Bills, beat up on them pretty bad. Dolphins have not had a good track record versus the Bills as of late. Only the second win in like that Tua McDaniel era versus the Bills, and it was a good one. The team looked like completely different. Like they had been playing better and better, like in recent times, but like this was the culmination of everything. The best I've seen the defense look all year. Really, really like to go over the defense, like there's some things that they did defensively that like showed up a little bit last year, but like this is it at its finest. Like here's an example of a play. This was the Dolphins showing cover zero, and they do a really good job disguising because they end up, they do a couple motions pre-snap. This linebacker bumps out a little bit with the running back to maybe show man. And now once this receiver bumps in, Trader goes with it like it's man, disguise man, and then they just bail out. Play zone. And Josh Allen's completely confused. And then they work a stunt beautifully up close because they're showing zero. They're showing cover zero, and then they work a stunt really well with Sealer and Kenneth Grant. We can skip ahead a little bit, but yeah. They're about to get up. Grant loops around, is going to get free on Josh Allen. Josh Allen tries to escape, and then Sealer gets there on the crash because Allen never saw it coming. That's kind of how you... Were you cheering at your TV, so happy and excited? Right, that was the best team game, even better than the Falcons. I would say so. It's probably pretty close, but I would probably give the edge to the Bills game just because the Bills are a much better opponent, So, yeah, it was a very good all-around game. Run game was very good offensively. Did a pretty solid job. I have to cancel that. Hopefully that doesn't restart my PC. But yeah, really good disguises by the defense. Another thing I saw was interesting. Shout out Jacob Gibbs on Twitter. He posted a thing that was like the yards per route run leaders without Tyreek Hill on the field. So this was like, every receiver normally, and then what Waddle's is without Tyreek. And Waddle is the third in the league in yards per route run, only behind JSN and Puka Nacua have arguably been the two best players at that position. This is what I've been saying about Waddle. I know I've had some people try to tell me he's overrated or, certain things he doesn't do well. Waddle is a wide receiver one. He just is. He's one of the best players on Miami, if not the best. Like, he's arguably up there, at least this season. Shout out Jaylen Waddle, all the stuff he's been doing. Every single game produced. The only game he didn't produce without Tyreek was that Cleveland game, and that was just like a really bad weather game. The whole offense performed poorly, but he's been consistently making plays. And yeah, we can get on the standout players. I mean, realistically, you could stock up a lot of guys. Stock down, really, the only stock down that comes to mind, I saw people leave this comment, is Ethan Bonner. Also, probably throw Benito Jones in there because Benito Jones had a couple of penalties. So I think you could throw those guys in stock down. Everyone else was pretty much stock up. Like a lot of other players really stepped up. I mean, I can just go over the best of the best, the biggest standouts. Jordan Brooks had an elite game. Like back to that Falcons game, Jordan Brooks might have been even better in this one. He was lights out. Some of the plays he was making were so good. Bradley Chubb belongs in stock up. He probably had the biggest stock up performance. It was his best performance of the year by far. Created 10 pressures, had a couple nice plays versus the run. Very, very impressed with that performance. I'm really excited to get Chop back this week versus Washington because I really want to see Chop get a lot of playing time now because Chop is definitely someone I'm going to be keeping an eye on, for the rest of this season with no more Jalen Phillips. He should actually get like a lot more snaps. Minka had an elite game. Trader had a good game. Juju Brent's obviously big stock up player. I made a video on him, film breakdown already. Jordan Phillips, who I posted a video on today, another really strong performance out of him. I thought Kenneth Grant was solid. Did his job. Really, yeah. Someone just mentioned Weaver. That would probably throw him in stock up because this is definitely his best performance. The defense has been playing better, and I haven't had as many problems with Weaver in recent weeks. Especially like the last few for sure. But this was his best for like something, and like just the way they executed and with these play calls, you can just like see the potential there when he can be in his bag. So that's a big thing. Dolphins are actually in a weird spot. Like that's why like some of these earlier games of the season, I'm like, damn it, they just won like that Carolina game or that New England game, or if that Browns game wasn't that horrible weather, like they could have won a lot of those games very easily. They threw a couple of them away. They were half a foot from beating the Patriots. That would actually be in a decent position because the next 3 games are Commanders, Saints, and Jets, like 3 very winnable games. Just unfortunate when you have such a slow start because it does seem like the Dolphins have been playing like a different team, even including the Ravens game. Like I know they lost that pretty bad score-wise, but you could tell in that first half, like they were outplaying them. They just made a couple, like individual players made a couple mistakes that basically gave the Ravens that lead in that first half. Yeah, Chargers as well. Good shout out with them. But yeah. Washington, that game coming up, like apparently, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit. Dolphins also parted ways with more player personnel guys, Adam Engroff and Anthony Hunt, 2 guys who had been with the team for a very long time. No problems with that. I think, the team needs a little bit of a personnel shift in that department. But just lots of good stuff. Really talking about the whole team. We can go to offense as well. Patrick Paul, I thought, played one of his best games this season in terms of like he had some really good run blocking plays. Well, he's been more of a he's been more of a pass pro guy. Asante Samuel just signed with the Steelers. I wouldn't say bad news. They need that. That's another thing to point out with the Dolphins is I feel like coming to the season, like everyone talked about the secondary, everyone talked about the corners and how much of a problem would they be. They really haven't been that much of a problem even all year. Like definitely lately, but even all year, the corners have never been the main issue with the defense. And that's why I wasn't as concerned with the corner room. I think the problem with the defense was the up front not being as, ready. There was definitely problems in the secondary in terms of like communication, taking things away. Yeah. Thanks for talking about the interceptions. We can talk about that. Jordan Phillips, that's my guy. That was probably my favorite draft pick the Dolphins made this last year. Honestly, the Maryland kids are probably both my favorite guys, and they've probably been my favorite 2 to watch so far. Jordan Phillips, Dante Trader, they both had strong performances. Yeah, we do go against the Steelers. But yeah, he played really strong. Yeah, Patrick Paul had like an elite level game. Brewer, again, your 2 most consistent linemen are Brewer and Paul by far. Jonah's still having his struggles, maybe slight improvements in certain areas, but I still have a lot of concerns for Jonah the rest of this year. I don't expect to see real improvement until maybe next year. And this is also why, I would love to see Austin Jackson and James Daniel actually play together just to see what it would look like. I want to see those 5 play together, see if it changes anything up with Jonah, because we've seen, when players around you start playing better, you start to look better as well. It makes your life a little bit easier. Maybe that would make Jonah's life a little bit easier. And I think that would just be so interesting to see. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them after the bye, because we play the Commanders next, then have a bye. Would be interesting, because Cole Strange, not playing super well. Borum probably just had one of his worst performances of the season this past week. Didn't end up mattering, but... Yeah, Jordan Phillips definitely a steal. A lot of the draft guys had huge impacts. Pretty much all of them except Ollie and Ewers played pretty decent snap counts in this past game. Jonah obviously playing pretty much every snap on offense. Grant and Jordan Phillips getting about 50% of the snaps as usual. Zeke Biggers got really his first action and played a handful of snaps in this game. And it was interesting to see him out there. It wasn't a great performance or anything, but you got to see at least a little bit of flash with him. It's nice to see him out there. Ollie, I think, didn't really play much this game because he was coming off that injury. I think they wanted to get Jalen Wright some looks, and Achane was just playing amazing, so they didn't need to rotate out as much. So that was cool to see. Anyone else that I was missing? Yeah, and then Trader, obviously, we talked about earlier. Trader, I'm going to probably make a video on Trader this week. I thought Trader might have had one of his more consistent games from start to finish. Because I think the Ravens game, he had a strong overall game, but he had those 2 bad plays. And then the Falcons game, he was really strong in coverage, but he didn't play as many snaps in that one. He didn't have outside of those coverage plays, he didn't get to be as involved as much. I feel like this game, all around from coverage, doing his job, getting involved with the run game, it was a very well-rounded performance from Trader. Also, Jason Marshall, that's the other rookie I forgot. Yeah, Jason Marshall actually got to play some significant snaps. We got to see him on the outside a little bit. I'm probably going to have a Jason Marshall video out tomorrow. I thought Jason Marshall flashed. I still have some concerns with him playing in the nickel. I don't think that's the best fit for him. Because there was some plays I think he would like back, specifically in scramble drill. I think he has to, step up a little bit in scramble drill, understand what his responsibility would be, and that sticking man once things turn. And I think he's a better man corner. I think he's better on the outside. He's playing a lot on the inside and running a lot of zone. So, how good do you think Tua is? I've seen from people like Joe A who say that Tua is the worst QB in the league. It seems that most people analyze film have him lower. For my film, I would have him. I mean, I don't know where I would have him ranked. I haven't watched every single quarterback this year. I mean, I wouldn't have him last. It's definitely not his strongest year, but I also think people are putting a lot of stock into just the bad stuff. And people have a lot of biases towards Tua. I still think he can be a fairly solid NFL quarterback. We see it from time to time, in games, and certain weeks are better than others, certain moments better than others. But yeah. I mean, I've talked about it already, but they should certainly give a spot on the roster and more reps. Well, yeah, definitely a spot on the roster. I mean, Brents has had a spot on the roster, and I would like to see more reps. Even with Rasul Douglas back, I would like to see at least him getting in part of a rotation with, whether it's, Jones or Douglas. I think he clearly earned that. I definitely want to see more reps too, just to see what kind of player he is against different receivers, because he had a lot of Keon Coleman snaps, and I'm not a fan of Keon Coleman. I don't think Keon Coleman is very good. I think he's a one-trick pony. And I think Keon Coleman is the perfect matchup for Brents to show off his skill set. So I do want to see Brents versus different types of receivers and see how that goes too. But yeah. Going there. More offensive players. Sorry for the O-line. Yeah, Achane was phenomenal. Jalen Wright had a really impressive run. It's nice to see him. I feel like Jalen Wright's just been running hard in his opportunities. Hasn't had too many as of yet, but it's at least nice to see him having some positive play after not really playing at all this year. Then at tight end, I thought Greg Dulcich and Hayden Rucci playing, decent ball for you. I think Rucci has been fairly consistent as a blocker, not perfect or anything, but I think he's done his job at least. And then Dulcich, I think, looks very comfortable in the system. I think they can really take advantage. His skill set, I think, fits perfectly into what McDaniel wants out of that type of tight end. And, he can do at least a little bit of blocking. And I think Tua really maximizes those types of guys. So it's nice to see Dulcich. I think Dulcich is another one that I think has kind of earned a spot on the roster of a guy you should be trying to bring back next year, especially if McDaniel is still the coach. Obviously, that still remains to be seen. I think we've seen how things can really change week to week, game to game, with how fan base perceives people. And if that's how the fan base perceives them, that's honestly sometimes that's how it can be with the owner too. I mean, you don't always know behind the scenes stuff, but things change very drastically week to week in the NFL. It's just really nice to get that sort of performance. If Waller comes back, who's out? I mean, he probably takes most of Dulcich reps because Dulcich and Waller are more of the receiving guys on the team. I don't know if they would cut anyone. They might. I guess they could still have 4 guys on the roster at tight end. I feel like they would probably try to work a way around it. Maybe get Rucci on the practice squad again if they needed to. Because I feel like they probably feel like they could get Rucci on the practice squad. That would just be my guess of what they would do. But Waller would mostly take Dulcich's snaps because they play the same sort of tight end position. Oh, did I just freeze? Fuck. God damn it. Hopefully, I think my PC crashed. Damn. Did it crash? Let's see. Yeah, I think it crashed. Fuck. Well, I don't think you guys can hear me, but if you can, that sucks. Because I'm pretty sure if it isn't crashed, it's about to. Well, that sucks. How long was I live for? 13 minutes? I guess Damn it.